Warning, warning! This video will contain spoilers.
Hey guys!
Happy Saturday and welcome to
Latte and Foam.
This is a new segment we're going to be starting every weekend where we break down the hard-hitting topics like anime and video games.
And today we're going to actually combine those two today, and specifically I'm meaning talking about Reverse Harem anime, which is often based off of Otome video games.
And I know, Reverse Harem have gotten a pretty bad rap over the past decade.
But we're hoping going into this new decade that the genre improves.
Because not all Reverse Harems are bad. Actually, when we went back and looked through all the anime that we've watched that are Reverse Harem, we found that some of them before 2010 were actually pretty good.
However, after 2010, the Reverse Harem anime just kept dropping the ball.
So today we picked a few anime that we could use as a case study to break down what went wrong and why.
But before we do that, let's go back a little bit and talk about one anime that got it completely right.
The gold standard of Reverse Harem anime,
Ouran High School Host Club.
Kiss, kiss for love.
So what makes Ouran High School Host Club so great?
Well, there are 3 points that we found that make Ouran High School Host Club a great Reverse Harem anime.
First of all, the main character, the MC, the female that all of the guys are wanting to romance, actually has a personality.
Haruhi Fujioka actually is super smart, got into this elite school, and everybody ends up being friends with her and liking her because she's just a genuinely good person.
And she has morals and values that don't stray throughout the series.
Yeah.
She's not interested in any of the fancy things that the other girls at the rich prep school are.
She's not a ditzy airhead who needs to be saved all the time. She's really pretty much a solid character that you don't get to see that often in Reverse Harem animes.
And even though not all girls would really relate to her because she is a bit tomboyish, I know I personally don't relate to her character that much, but I still can respect that she has a personality and it makes for a way more interesting anime to watch.
Yep, and she doesn't get lost in anybody else ever. Okay, so it brings us to our second point, good pacing. So this anime is spread out amongst 26 episodes, and this allows you to get to know all of your favorite characters in the anime, from Haruhi, Tamaki, Kyoya, everybody there.
Yes, and all of the characters get individual moments with Haruhi as well as group moments enough. It's very congruent, the storyline.
Yeah, and you don't feel like one character is overshadowing or anything's rushed or that you miss anything, or like you couldn't find a favorite amongst all of those characters.
You really get a good Reverse Harem feel that way, like she's being surrounded by all of the guys always, and they're all intertwined in each of the individual storylines.
And even though there is technically one main guy character, which is Tamaki, he's still always present when Haruhi's having moments with the other guys, but it's not overshadowing, which actually kind of runs into our third point, which is
character development
and story progression. This starts off with Haruhi breaking a vase and basically working for these guys, to the end that they're all at this ball together, dancing together, and having a great time and celebrating this really tight-knit bond friendship.
Yeah, so in the beginning, Haruhi's mindset towards them is that they're annoying, that they're stuck up, and basically that they don't have the same values that she does, and she's not really interested in getting to know them. But in the end, they come together really nicely, and each individual character, not just Haruhi's opinion, changes.
Yeah, so you see it on screen where they have such a huge development, like the twins, Hikaru and Kaoru. Hikaru does have feelings for Haruhi, but he can be super selfish because he's never lived in a world where he didn't have to be. And towards the end, you see that he does a lot of selfless things involving Haruhi that puts her before himself. And same thing with his brother Kaoru. Kaoru does things that only benefit Hikaru so that Hikaru can move forward and progress with his relationship with Haruhi.
Yeah, that's a really great point too, because they're not just developing on superficial levels, they're actually learning new life values, each of the guys, and I really thought that's interesting that she was able to teach them something, instead of the guys always introducing something new to the girl.
Yeah, and that even also still happens in reverse, where Haruhi learns a lot of things that she didn't know, that even though she thought maybe she was selfish in thinking, she learns that these guys are more than just their money or selfish, kind of like Kayla said earlier.
Yeah, she's able to see them in a different light, basically.
Which is awesome, and that's what makes this anime such a good Reverse Harem, because even though there's supposed to be a love interest, it's clearly Tamaki, but he never overshadows the other guys. He's still an awesome friend. You get to know their past. There's a clear storyline going from beginning to end where you meet Haruhi's parents, her backstory, Tamaki's backstory, and everything.
And it gives the fans, like, the ending specifically gives the fans enough to where if you super loved Tamaki, then you're like, yes, they ended up together, it was perfect. But if you liked another guy, you're not totally shut off from the idea that she could still end up with somebody else.
Yeah, because it gives those really special moments where it leaves that Tamaki is canon, but it also is that Kyoyo can be canon or Mori Senpai can be canon, but you don't feel like there was a specific choice. And it doesn't leave you to believe like there has to be more anime. It ends on a really, really great note. And that's what makes this anime the golden standard anime.
Yes, because a lot of the other anime we're going to talk about makes the fatal mistake of either not ending up with anybody and making it seem like she doesn't want to be with anybody else, like anybody at all. So it makes it feel like the anime was pointless, or she does pick someone that maybe you're not even interested in and the other characters kind of just die completely.
Yeah. So that moves us towards our next anime, which is after the decade started.
Let's start with an anime that came out in 2013, so just after the decade. This was when a lot of Otome games were actually making animes because they were becoming really popular. Ouran High School Host Club does have an Otome game of its own, but it came out after the anime. So it did have that benefit of not being stuck within the confines of the game.
Yeah. So the anime that we're going to talk about now, though, that did happen right after the decade is Brothers Conflict. So Brothers Conflict, for those of you that don't have too much of a history about it, it's about a girl, Emma Hinata, who moved into a huge house with now 13, is it 13? No, it's 12 stepbrothers and a baby. Is it Chinchilla? I don't know what that animal was.
A squirrel. Oh, she already had the squirrel.
She had the squirrel, but she moves in with all of these guys who now are her potential love interests.
Yes, so if you guys follow my gaming channel, you'll know that I play and translate the video game for you guys to see in English. But that's basically the storyline, and the anime actually follows pretty true to the beginning portions of a lot of the guys' routes in the game. However, the problem with that is that there's just too much content that they're trying to fit into 12 episodes.
Yeah, and that's the first ball that's dropped. It goes from where Ouran had 26 episodes and Brothers Conflict only has 12. And that's just so much content you have to get in with 12 guy characters in a 12 episodes. That's almost an episode a guy.
But they could have still worked with their 12 episode budget and by just focusing on maybe 4 guys of the 12. Whereas the other guys just don't get fleshed out as much. They made an interesting choice to kind of focus on Natsume, which is the guy who lives outside of the house. I feel like that might not have been such a good idea because we could have easily just not introduced him except for maybe once. That way the guys that she's around all the time are the ones she's getting actual romance with.
Yeah. The other problem is there's not really a central plot line behind what she's doing. So the premise behind this is that they're just basically, if you've ever seen OVA episodes, that's pretty much what the entire anime is, a bunch of OVA episodes.
Which is enjoyable to an extent, but it doesn't make for a 10 out of 10 anime like Ouran High School Host Club.
Yeah, because you don't have anything that Emma's reaching towards or going towards, and that brings us to our number one point is that Emma doesn't have really a personality either. No personality at all. She isn't teaching the guys things really on a deep level, and they aren't really teaching her anything either. She doesn't have any preferences. We don't know what her favorite color or food is even on a surface level. She's just a very blank character, unfortunately. And what they could have done to change that is instead of keeping her exactly how she's in the game, realize that you're making an anime and give her a personality to drive the plot forward a bit more. Yeah, because it gives it even harder for the viewer to understand why they want to relate to Emma, as well as why are these guys falling for her. I mean, she doesn't really talk that often, she doesn't like anything, and so how is it that they all want to date her?
Have they just never seen a girl before? That's kind of how they make it seem. As soon as she moves in, they're like, oh my god, a girl.
So yeah, and because of that, there's not a lot of character development, although I will say there is some throughout the game. Like, the twins, Azusa and Tsubaki, learn to kind of live separately from each other and not be so attached, which is great, but I don't know if that would say that has anything to do with Emma, or maybe it's their rival with each other for Emma's affections that cause it, but...
They do get it right that they do focus on a smaller group of guys. They focus on Natsume, the twins, so the triplets, and then also Subaru. Those are like the main ones, and Futo a little bit, which I hate Futo, but that's just me. So basically they pick like 5 guys, which is still a little bit too many, and we end up with choppy storylines. I think if they would have just focused on the triplets maybe, or just the twins even, that could have made for a more interesting anime. But to give them the benefit of the doubt, it kind of seemed like they were going to have a season 2, but it just never ended up happening. There was a line at the end where, is that how you... Hikaru.
Which is hilarious because his name is Hikaru in both
and he looks exactly like Haruhi's dad. Come on.
Yeah, I mean...
like spitting it.
Come on.
But he said something like, next time I'll be putting my hat in the ring. And then season 2 never came.
It never comes, which honestly what we've learned with sometimes romance animes and harems in general, if they say there's going to be a season 2, absolutely not going to happen.
Just don't hold your breath.
Stop dropping the ball on that. Wink, wink. But yeah,
basically, like, that one was good, but it wasn't great.
Yeah, and it could have just been a little bit, if you just improved a little bit of it and centralized on some characters, because there's so many guy characters, it would have made it a lot better anime.
Yeah, and I think for people who have played the game, they're really just looking for fan service and to see the characters more interact. So in that right, it does serve its purpose, but if it's trying to be a good plot-driven anime, it's not that.
Yeah.
So let's move on to another one based off of an Otome game that does a little bit better than Brothers Conflict in our opinion.
Yeah.
That came out in 2014, and that is
Ouran Prince-sama. Ouran Prince-sama is actually a super favorite of mine. I have some of the games itself. There's, I want to say 10 total games.
Yeah, she has like 3 of them.
Yeah. So that game it's in fully in Japanese. So, but the anime itself is based on guys who come from different backgrounds completely, and they all meet up at this musical-driven high school. Which, if you don't know this about reverse harems, a lot of them take place in high school. And there's like usually something central that brings them together. They don't just go to the school, but they all go to this music high school, and the main character, the Haruka, that's her name?
Haruka. Oh, yeah. Always like Haru.
Haruka. She gets into the school as well, and she ends up becoming their composer, and they form this group called Starish, where the main guy characters that she meets the first time, because this Otome game pretty much has like 6 or 7 different groups of guys that she's going to meet at some point.
Yeah, and we're only going to be covering season 1, by the way, because that's the only season we actually like. We think it really drops the ball in the later seasons. The first one's actually still decent. Yeah.
So in this sense, though, they do drop the ball with the main character not really having a deep personality. She's a composer, so in the sense she kind of does, and she writes beautiful lyrics and stuff, but
she has a bit more of a personality than Emma, though, because she has a reason and a purpose for what she's doing. She really likes a singer or an idol named Hayato. I love him. And he is the reason that she goes to this school and that she wants to do music. And she has something with her grandma in the past that they bring up. So it's a little more well done, still kind of a flat character, but yeah, she has a little something going on.
Yeah, she has a little bit more of a personality, but she does have like the airhead qualities. But she's a good friend, and she does try to at least hone in on that. But the good thing here is it does have actually a central plot that I really like, is that she's working towards her music career as well as everybody else there, and that never stops throughout. Even though the later seasons drop the ball, that's still her #1 goal, is to be a composer of some sort. And so I like that, and that's what the other guys are working towards too, and that's also what brings them together, is either acting or singing.
Yeah, I'd actually say that this anime doesn't really drop the ball that much in the first season. It's really going into the later seasons. As we get later throughout the decade, they make the mistake of adding in guys.
And just too many guys on one screen. I think that's something Kayla and I can agree on. Too many guys on one screen or too many love interests makes it so hard, but because if you've ever played the fandom, or if you've ever even played the game on your iPhone or something, you meet so many characters that you might have a different favorite. Mine and Kayla's happens to be the same, but because there's so many guy characters, it's easy that one of us could have a different one, and we feel like that guy has to be the main character, or yours has to be the main character, which can happen, which is another issue with reverse harems that are based on a video game, because how do you choose who's the favorite?
Which could possibly be what went wrong in this anime, because I think they were choosing Hayato's character, Tokiya Ichinose, as the canon route, and they make it seem that way at the end of the first anime, and you're kind of like hoping to see their relationship grow in the second and third and fourth seasons, but instead he kind of just fades into the background, and it just becomes like every episode's a different guy. Like, he barely gets any more screen time. It's like new groups are introduced. It's a mess.
But I will say they do a good job of character development for every single guy. So there's, at the first anime, 6 guys that you meet, and each of them are coming in with some kind of harboring anger or something that they just don't like about themselves, and you see them grow with Haruka very, very beautifully. Like, Renguji's he's the redhead, long-haired guy.
It's like blondish red.
Yeah, I always say redhead, but it's probably strawberry blonde is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
So strawberry blonde guy, and he literally he comes from a big conglomerate. His family doesn't believe in him, but she helps him overcome that arrogance and fear of not doing and impressing his family. And he becomes even nicer to one of his oldest friends. Hayato starts off, he's already an idol, and he wants to be taken more serious in his music. Oh.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't really make sense what he ends up doing, but he ends up
joining
it's something
the group.
that happens. Like, you think that what you want is to step away from the spotlight, but then he realized he just wanted to be a part of something bigger.
Yeah, and he does that with her help. He becomes a lot more of a softer character and cares deeply for her. That's super apparent, at least in the first season, how much he cares about her.
And then they just throw all of that away as we get into the later seasons.
If you
so
can't
that's
tell,
really what we noticed.
Yeah, if you can't tell, we're still upset about that.
Yeah, it was really disappointing to really like a first season and then be so excited that there's actually a second season, because Reverse Harems rarely get that. And then to see them just trash the opportunity.
Drop it. Like, it's so awkwardly, choppily done. It's just like, skirt.
Yeah, it just takes a really hard left. But as you can see, as the decade progresses, things just get worse. This is what keeps happening. Even first seasons aren't even good anymore in the last anime that we're going to talk about today. And that is just...
I'll say it, 'cause she just...
It's really hard to even leave my lips.
Dance with Devils, which is centrally based off the
Otome Game.
Yeah, the Otome Game, PS Vita game, Dance with Devils. So Dance with Devils is another 12-episode installment where you get to meet, this time I think it's 5 guys? 6 guys?
You get to meet them, and then that's it.
That's
really
it.
The only 2 that they talk about, Rim, a little bit, and then Lindo gets like the whole season.
It's an entire arc, and I think there were just so many ball drops here. There is technically a central plot point to it, but you kind of are left in the dark because you're supposed to be in the main character's shoes, and she's just not getting told anything. And a lot of just, well, this is happening and this is happening, but nobody's explaining as to why.
Main character is flat. Again.
So flat.
So that's off. They do not pace it properly. They give, I think, 7 episodes to Lindo, and we actually ended up really liking Lindo, and there was good character progression there, you think, but there's actually not on her end because she completely drops him.
The pacing, and I can see though why they don't like fully go with Lindo, only because technically that's
they're
her
cousins,
yeah,
but they're kind
like,
of brother and sister.
It's like weird.
But Rim got absolutely no character development, and for God knows why, she ends up being in love with him, and they're all in love in this happy musical. Let's not even talk about the fact that it's a musical.
Oh my gosh, they sing every episode.
Which is fine if you like musicals. We personally don't, so we're not going to judge it based on that.
I feel like though, if you don't, and even if you do like musicals, it's almost awkwardly done, like where it's
very
just,
awkwardly done.
They're singing and you're like, but why?
It doesn't make sense at all. I guess they're trying to go for like a vampy kind of like opera vibe. I don't know. It was like, there was some things going on with the aesthetics that were overshadowing the actual characters, I think. But
and yeah, there is no character development. You have something happen in an episode and it has to get resolved because there's not enough time. I think the only character I remember is like the bully with the jacket that's half off. Honestly, the whole time we were watching it, I kept pointing out that he needed to put his jacket on. It was so funny.
Yeah, I remember that. Most
like,
of the guys, you like, it was just like, hi, bye.
Hi.
And then like more Lindo, more Lindo, more Lindo. And then the last episode, her and Rin happy together, and then he's like, oh, well, want to come with me? And she's like, well, no, I want to do this. And then he's like, okay, bye.
And then
he leaves.
Yeah.
Like, what?
It's just so compacted too quickly that even in the episode arcs that you get with the guys, because there's not enough time, there's really not a time for you to develop that you care about them. You don't know really anything about this character other than the fact that for the reasons behind, like the whole overall reason why they want to use her to get to some other part. They want to be cool with her, and then they kind of torture her. Other than Rem and Lindo, they torture her, they do negative stuff to her, they go over the top, and then they feel bad and then let her go because she cries a lot. There's a lot of crying.
Yeah, but she seems to have no feelings for Lindo. I don't get that. Like, he literally almost killed his dad for her.
He does. He tries, and then his dad doesn't die. And again, I can almost understand from a logical perspective for me, it's like Lindo technically for her whole life was her brother.
Yeah.
And while it is odd that this whole thing that he's in love with her and whatever.
But don't bait and switch the viewer though.
Yeah, if you're gonna go for it, go for it.
We were like, at first we were like, this is kind of weird. They keep focusing on him, but they're like kind of related. Like, it's weird. But then they kept focusing on him and made us see that it was okay somehow. And then all of a sudden we were rooting for him, and then they just pulled the rug out from under us.
And they don't even they go into a song when her and Ren break up, which is just it's more like a slap in the face, and you're like, I don't want a song.
Our faces watching it, we're just like,
that is just too much. So this anime completely compared to Utanopri, Brothers Conflict, and Ouran High School Host Club completely fails on our golden standard. It is dropped the ball in almost every aspect we can imagine.
Yeah, you know, honestly, this is kind of making me mad now that we're doing the video and saying it, because I'm realizing the 3 things they need to do are so basic. It's like, have a character with personality, develop the characters, have a plot. That's all we're asking. Like, why is that so hard? I don't know why.
If you're gonna go for the damsel in distress, fine, but there's so many ways. Like, for those of us who've never seen Inuyasha, Kagome's always the damsel in distress, but she still has the sass to her.
Yeah, you can be a girly character or a character, like, to me, I feel like if you're trying to go for like Otome fans, make a character that's like obsessed with the guys, that really likes all of the guys and actually likes the attention. I don't get how these girls are just like, oh, another extremely hot guy likes me. I don't care. Like, what?
That's kind of what happens. And then they break into song. And
then they break into
it's
song.
like, we just can't let it go. I feel like as a game, Dance with Devils should have stayed as a game completely.
Yeah, and we haven't played this game, so we can't really say if the game's good or not, but I could see how it would be good because it did have some things going on that we just couldn't really delve into in a 12-episode anime once again.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think honestly, because in Otome games, which literally are you choose which guy you're gonna be with, and that means that you're gonna get an entire route where your relationship develops, and it's so hard to project in an anime when you have to have all of the guys come through. However, Ouran does it perfectly because every guy gets a moment.
What they benefit from is they didn't start as a game.
Yeah,
so that's what they benefit from. They were able to just write the anime free. So what people should do is just take the concept of these games and then just take it a new direction. Either pick one of the routes and kind of follow that storyline if it's good or solid, or create a new story just with the same universe.
Yeah, that's all you have to do. And again, Utanopri knocks it out of the park with the first season. The problem is that because there's so much content, because there's 10 whole entire games, you're really now watching as the seasons go on, the guys' careers develop. And I mean, that's fine and completely if you're looking for like a day-to-day anime just because. But
that's not what it's marketed as. So you feel kind of like gypped when you see there's no romance really at all after season 1.
Because she doesn't have she has like a small romantic moment again with Hayato, Tokyo Ichinose's character, and all the other guys really don't like it and they talk about how much they care about her, but
in season 2 they do have a little mini moment. He writes a song for her. Well, don't all the guys
They all write songs for her. All of their songs are technically for her. But the thing is that her and Tokyo have the strongest connection, and then
it's just dropped.
She clearly likes him but doesn't like any other guys, but doesn't tell them that.
Yeah, and remember those beetle clips she wears? Oh my god.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, her fashion sense, I don't know.
However, it doesn't really give you a feeling. You end the anime, or whichever one you're ending, you kind of end Brothers Conflict, you end it with thinking that there's going to be a season 2, that there's never going to be. You end Utanopri's first season thinking on a confident note, yes, her and Tokyo are going to get together. In the first couple episodes of the second season, you're like, it's going to work. And then it just stops completely, dead in the water. And then you get to Dance with Devils, and you almost, obviously some people look past the fact that, or don't look past the fact that she's related to Lindo, so like, I never wanted them together, but take that out of the water and just think about how much time is dedicated on him as a character and his development and all of the stuff he goes through. They even tell his backstory, kids, like everything.
Yeah, they have flashbacks of them as kids, which obviously is gonna get you.
It just is. Really, you can't avoid it. And once you go through that, and then she doesn't end up with him. She ends up with Rem for not even a good enough reason. You kind of feel frustrated. Like,
honestly, it frustrated us. We yelled about it. We were like, what? We were like screaming about it.
We wasted a whole day.
It was such a wait. We literally watched that in one day.
We do binge watch animes in a day. We're like, let's take a break, and then a season. later.
But we've really taken a break from reverse harems, even though it's one of our favorite genres, because people keep getting it wrong. But basically this video is just to show you guys that it can be done right. Ouran High School Host Club did it right. There are other good anime like Wallflower and that have come out before 2010 that were reverse harem, that were decent to watch, enjoyable to watch, had a storyline, progression, all of that. So cheers to 2020, hopefully having some of that for us.
So that we can get good reverse harem animes, or maybe just stick to leaving them in the games, because we like playing reverse harem anime, or no, we don't like playing them.
We like playing Otome games.
We do.
And just enjoying that side of it. So let us know in the comments below if you guys have a favorite reverse harem anime, or if you have any opinions on what we discussed in this episode.
Because we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so before we sign off, since this is our first episode, we just wanted to let you guys know this is going to be coming every week. We're going to be filming it Saturdays and hopefully posting Saturday nights or Sundays. We're not quite sure yet.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, but at least guaranteed on Sundays.
Yes, and if you guys don't know, Kiana is my business partner. We have a company together, Lovely Inc., where we produce our own Otome games. We just released one called Snowkissed Romance out on the App Store right now, and will be out on Google Play within the next couple of weeks. Sorry there's been such a delay on that. But yeah, we're going to be making some more videos together on this channel, so we hope you look forward to it, and have a great rest of your week.
Bye! That brings us to point number 2, which is good pacing. Gross, Kiana.